and Eastern United States, and to everyone around the world, thank you for attending this Sunday morning Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam reading and discussion. This is part of the Prabhupada Disciples Association sadhana program, which is fundamental to continuing one's purification in this process, because we are all afflicted by this material situation that we find ourselves in. And by hearing from the pure devotee A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda, it is a medicine for the disease condition of the living entity. Prabhupada was present in his Vapu incarnation for us from September, personally for us in the ISKCON mission, in a sense, from 1965 to November 14th, 1977. And that particular period is very important to know and study about, because when you get an understanding of Śrīla Prabhupāda's focus and determination, it becomes a source of inspiration for us to take up his mission, which is the focal point of this group that we have established online and locally in the different centers. We're going to help expand the work of some of our members who are interested in operating preaching centers, because preaching centers are a vehicle for reaching out to the public, and there's a great need for that. There's almost 7 billion people. How many people are there in the world now of Vinkat Bhatta Prabhu? How many people?
I think more than 7 billion. I'm not sure of the exact number.
Okay. It could be 8 billion, but I'm going to ask Vinkat Prabhu, our production coordinator, how many devotees are there in that 8 billion people? What's
Very
your
few.
estimate? Yeah, it's
Very few, I
and
think.
how many devotees are there, Vinkat Bhatta Prabhu, in the line of disciplic succession from A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda? How many do you think? Just give your guess. It's okay, whatever you think.
You mean disciples of Śrīla Prabhupada?
Yeah, actual disciples. There's all kinds of sects and groups and devotees of Krishna.
Maybe like 2,000. I don't know.
You think there's that many, that are focused on Prabhupada as the bona fide spiritual master? Do you think there's that many?
Yeah, like in different groups and all that. I mean, they're all working for Śrīla Prabhupada, so they might.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a good number. So out of 8 billion, there's a couple thousand. That's a few specks on the planet of people that are getting the blessings of the pure devotee. So this study of Prabhupada's diaries and the study of his history is vital for all of us to understand the power of the pure devotee, because you have to judge an action by its results. Whatever great men do, Jiva Goswami, common men will follow. And whatever standards they set by exemplary acts, the whole world pursues. So Prabhupada, he gave such an amazing example to all of us. And it's interesting to note, Jiva Goswami Prabhu in North Carolina, US, that Prabhupada was not tarred by any scandals during his whole period of preaching Krishna consciousness. Some people try to blame him for certain things, but that's their Maya. Prabhupada had an exemplary lifestyle. I know when he came to Toronto, he exhibited all the qualities of a true sannyasi, of a true Mahajan, a true pure devotee of Krishna, Lord Krishna. So this is something we can be proud of, along with our focus on Śrīla Prabhupada as our Diksha and Siksha Guru. And we shouldn't be discouraged by anyone or anything in terms of that. It's just like the camel train, Prabhupada, Jiva Goswami, he talks about the camel train going through the village, the town. And when it does, the dogs come out and bark, 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 bark at the camel train. So this is a camel train. We don't care about the barking dogs. And in that light, we are going to continue to read from Prabhupada's diary. And Vinkat Bhatta Prabhu, I think we're at May 21st, Saturday, 1966. Okay. Sunrise on May 21st, 1966 was at 4:40 a.m. Sunset was 7:13 and moonsets at 8:58. Dvicha. Paul was paid $1.25 for expenses. In the afternoon, there was a Sanskrit class. The attendance was 10, but the collection was only $4. One boy paid for the books partly $6. So that's 10 people, $4. So everybody gave 40 cents. At 5:30 p.m., we started for Ananda Ashram, Paul's land. Lady came for rent. She is promised for rent, paying on Monday. He has kept with him $75, and I will return the balance of collection, $25 on Monday, to him. In the evening, there was a kirtan at the ashram. It was nice as usual. There was a dance of Baliram. Expenditure $1.25 and income $10. Sunday, May 22nd, 1966. Sunrise 4:39, sunset 7:14, moonsets 10:05. Fritja, both Paul and I were at the ashram the whole day. We came back at 8 p.m. It was the same. It was seen that somebody came in. Paul says the door was open. There was an electric table lamp on, and later on it was found that on paper he has left one note with chalk, as blessed, it is mysterious. And later on it was found that $75, which was kept in Paul's drawer, is taken away. I think the situation not safe. We have to arrange for safety, otherwise it is risky to remain here. The ashram paid $10 for our going there, so there was no expenditure. $10. Probably got $10 for an appearance. Barack Obama gets $250,000 for giving a speech. Probably got $10. Monday, the 23rd of May, Vijay Pandit, 1966, back in time. Sunrise 4:39, sunset 7:15, moonset 11:03. Chaturthi, Paul paid $4 for expenditures and $25 for paying rents, etc. In the evening there was meeting and the contribution was $8. The attendance was about 11 ladies and a gentleman. Interesting. More women than men. Tuesday, May 24th, sunrise 4:38 a.m., sunset 7:16 p.m. Moon sets 11:51. Panchami, today Paul was paid $2 for expenditures. 2 letters posted, one to Mr. Sherbert, and the other to Cambridge University Press. Wednesday, May 25th, 1966. Sunrise 4:37 a.m., sunset 7:17 p.m., moon sets Ors Satis. Today, Paul was paid for expenditures $2. In the evening, there was a meeting. The attendance was about 18 heads. Wow. It's growing. And the contribution was $11.75. After the meeting, there were consultations about incorporation of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. The reason why is because when you start to deal with money, the government demands that the organizations that are taking money have to report that to the Treasury, the U.S. Treasury. You have to. So a corporation is not a mission, but it's a vehicle for functionality within a legal jurisdiction, whether it's in America or Canada or Italy or India. They require these organizations to be accountable. The mission is much different than the purpose of a corporation. Thursday, May 26th, sunrise 4:36 a.m., sunset 7:18 p.m., moon sets at 12:32 a.m. Today I went to Dr. Mishra to dine with him. Remember, Dr. Mishra was really a Mayavadi. The expenditure was Subway 30 cents. Today, Paul showed his crazy mind. But he was sorry later for his breaking the kirtan performances in the morning service. So we'll conclude there on May 26th. And on Wednesday, we'll continue on Friday, May 27th, 1966. We'll take the opportunity to chant along with Śrīla Prabhupāda in the singing of Jaya Radha Madhava, the bhajan, before the presentation of the class today, the wonderful Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam class from the 1962 version of that book by Śrīla Prabhupāda, and enjoy and relish the process of Shravanam Kirtanam. All glories to Śrīla Prabhupāda. Haribol.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Yaśodā-nandana Dāsa Yaśodā-nandana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha गिरिवरधारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रजजन रंजन यशोदानंदन व्रजजन रंजन यमुना तीर बनचारी यमुना तीर बनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य भक्तिवेदांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय। रामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवाचार्य गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरिवर्धन की जय। वृंदावन धाम की जय। नवद्वीप धाम की जय। गंगा माई की जय। जमुना माई की जय। गुरु द्वारका धाम की जय। स्वामी तो भक्तवृंद की जय। ऑल ग्लोरी टू द असम्बली। ऑल ग्लोरी टू द असम्बली। थैंक यू वेरी मच।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। In the first canto of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, text number 1, it is described, O my Lord, Lord Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, I do offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Narayanam namaskritya, Narayanam namaskritya, Naram cheva narottamam, Naram cheva narottamam, Devim saraswatim vyasam, Devim saraswatim vyasam, Tato jayam mudirayat, Tato jayam mudirayat. One should utter the means of conquest, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, after offering respectful obeisances, 1. To the personality of Godhead Narayana, 2. To the Narayana Rishi, who is the supermost human being, 3. To the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, then 4. To Śrīla Vyasadeva, the author. Before we begin the actual reading of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam in chapter 3, canto 1, we will read a few verses from canto 1, chapter 2, text 17 through 20. Srinvatam svakata Krishna punya shravana kirtana hridyantastoya badrani vidunoti suritsatam. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is also the Paramatma in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, does cleanse the desire for material enjoyment in the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge for hearing his, Krishna's messages, which are themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Text 18. Nashta prayeshu vabhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in the Bhagavatam class or rendering service unto the pure devotees, all that is inauspicious in the heart of a candidate becomes destroyed almost to nil, and thus loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, comes into being an irrevocable fact. Text 19. Tadarajastamo bhavaha kamalu bhadayaschaye chetayiterana viddam stitvam sattve prasidati. As soon as irrevocable loving service is fixed up in one's heart, at that time the effects of the nature's mode of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire, and hankerings, etc., do disappear from one's heart, and he becomes fixed up in the mode of goodness, which makes him completely happy. Evam prasanna manasu bhagavad bhakti yogataha bhagavad tattva vijnanam mukta sangasya jayate. Thus, when one is positively fixed up in the mode of unalloyed goodness, the enlivened-minded man, affected by contact of devotional service of the Lord, can positively know scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead in the stage of liberation from all material association. So thanks everyone for joining in this Sunday morning reading and discussion of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. We are reading from the original 1962 New Delhi edition. Today we are studying Canto 1, Chapter 3, texts 9, 10, and 11. All English synonyms, translations, and purports by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda, Founder-Ācārya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, also known as the Krishna Consciousness Movement. Text number 9. Turye dharmakala sarge nara narayana rishi bhutva atmo pashamam upetam akurad dushcharam tapaha. Turye, in the fort of the line, Dharmakala, wife of Dharmaraj, Sarge, being born of Nara Narayana, of the name of Nara and Narayana, Rishi, sages, Bhutva, becoming, Atmo Pashamam, controlling the senses, Upetam, for achievement of, Akarot, undertook, Dushcharam, very strenuous, Tapaha, penance. Translation. In the fourth incarnation, he, the Lord, became the twin sons of the wife of King Dharma, of the names Nara and Narayana. And so, becoming, he undertook exemplary, severe type of penances for controlling the senses. Purport. As it was advised by King Rishabha to his sons, tapasya, or voluntary acceptance of penances for realization of the transcendence, is the only duty of the human being. It was so done by the Lord himself in an exemplary manner to teach us. The Lord is very kind upon the forgetful souls. He therefore comes himself, leaves behind him necessary instructions for them, and also sends his good sons as representative to call all the conditioned souls back to Godhead. Recently, within the memory of everyone, Lord Chaitanya also appeared for the same purpose, to show special favor to fallen souls of this age of iron industry. The incarnation of Naranarayana is worshipped still at Badri Narayana on the range of the Himalayas. Text number 10. Panchamaha Kapilo Nama Siddhesha Kalabiplutam Provacha Asuraya Sankyam Tattvagrama Binirnayam. Panchamaha, the fifth one. Kapilo, Kapila, Nama, of the name. Siddhesha, the foremost amongst the perfects. Kala, time. Viplutam, lost. Provacha, said. Asuraye, unto the Brahmin of the name Asuri. Sankyam, metaphysics. Tattvagramam, the sum total of creative elements. Vinirnayam, exposition. Translation. The fifth incarnation advented himself by the name of Lord Kapila, who is the foremost amongst the perfect beings. He made an exposition of the creative elements and metaphysics before Asurya Brahman of the name, the system being lost in course of time. Purport. The sum total of the creative elements are 24 in all. Earth and every one of them are explicitly explained in the system of Sankhya philosophy. The Sankhya philosophers is generally called the metaphysics by the European scholars. The etymological meaning of Sankhya is what explains very lucidly by analysis of the material elements. This was done for the first time by Lord Kapila, who is set earring as the fifth in the line of incarnations. Text 11. Shastramatre rapatyatvam britaha praptavanasuya anvikshikim alarkaye prarabdivya uchivan. Shashtam, the sixth one. Atrer, avatri. Apatyam, apatyatvam, sonhood. Britaha, being prayed for. Praptu, obtain. Anasuya, by Anasuya. Anvikshikim, on the subject of transcendence. Alarkaya, unto Alarka. Praradivya, unto Pralad, etc. Uchivan, spoke. Translation. As it was prayed for by Anusuya, the sixth incarnation of the Purusha was the son of the sage Atri in the womb of Anusuya. He spoke on the subject of transcendence to Alarka, Pralada, and others, Jaju, Haihaya, etc. Purport. The Lord incarnated himself as the son of Rishi Atri and Anasuya. The history of the birth of Dattatreya as an incarnation of the Lord is mentioned in the Brahmanda Puranam in connection with the story of the devoted wife. It is said there that Anusuya, the wife of Rishi Atri, prayed before the Lord Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva as follows: My lords, if you are pleased on me, and if you desire me to ask from you some sort of blessings, then I may pray that you, all my lords, combined together, become my son. This was accepted by the Lord, and as Dattatreya, the Lord expounded the philosophy of the spirit soul and specially instructed all about them to Alarka, Pralada, Jadu, Haihaya, etc. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances. We all offer our respectful obeisances unto our spiritual master, Śrīla Prabhupāda, who has opened my eyes, who has opened all of our eyes from the darkness of ignorance with the torchlight of transcendental knowledge. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarine Bhakti Siddhanta Shishyaya Bhaktivedanta Namine Prasannaya Prashantaya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Bhagavad Vandanam Kadhyam Guru Vandana Purvakam Kshiram Sharkara Yuktam Kadatihi Visheshataham Adadanastrinam Danter Idam Yachi Punaha Punaham Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Bhoja Dhulishyam Janma Janmani Namo Mahabhadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayati Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishi Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So here we see that Sutta Goswami is continuing the description of the explanation of the 6 questions that were raised by the sages. Question number 5, the sages asked him to fully describe the activities of Lord Hari's incarnations within this universe. So this is a very important section. What is the purpose of the incarnations? Why do they come? The Sanskrit word for incarnation is avatar. Avatar means one who descends from a higher plane. Avatar. We're not referring to some mundane movie, but the actual true meaning of the word avatar is explained by Lord Krishna himself in the Bhagavad Gita in chapter 4. Why does he come? When does he come? What is the purpose of the avatar or the incarnation? Yada yada hi dharmasya glaniram bhavati bharatam abhyuttanam adharmasya tadatmanam sirajsrijamyaham paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chadushkritam dharmasam stapanartaya sambhavami yuge yuge. So Krishna explained why he comes. Paritranaya sadhunam, to protect the pious and the sadhus, the devotees. Vinashaya chadushkritam, to annihilate the miscreants, those who have turned against the authority of God, those who have turned against the grace of God, of Krishna. They are destroyed, they are punished. So this is a very important point, because nowadays in the age of Kali Yuga, we see so many self-made incarnations, self-declared incarnations. But Śrīla Prabhupada explains many times that incarnations are predicted in the scriptures, in the Holy Scriptures. It is not that anyone can just declare himself an incarnation. That is not possible. But in Kali Yuga, it has become very common for common persons who are very arrogant to declare themselves incarnations or special avatars. But in the Bhagavad Gita, we see Krishna is explaining why he comes. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chadushkram dharma samstapanartaya, to reestablish the principles of religion. Whenever there is a decrease in the practice of proper religion, at that time Krishna himself comes. Or he sends his avatars or incarnations, or he delegates some of his sons or prophets or powerful acharyas, powerful saints and rishis to reestablish the fundamental principles of religion. Just yesterday, I was doing some reading on the battle Kurukshetra. Now, there are some atheistic persons who proclaim that this is all mythology, that the battle of Kurukshetra did not happen. This is all stories, fanciful, fictional stories. But yet, we see that so many of the places which are mentioned in the Mahabharata, Kurukshetra, Mathura, Dwarka, Badrinath, so many places are still there. They are mentioned in the original Mahabharata. Same thing with the Ramayana. Lord Ramachandra appeared, and we see that his place, Ayodhya, his birthplace, is still there. Rameswaram, the place he went to before crossing to Sri Lanka, is still there. Kishkinda, a place he traveled to, is still there. So many places of Lord Ramachandra's transcendental activities are still there. It is not mythology, it is factology. It is an undeniable fact. Because modern archaeologists and scientists base themselves upon records of bricks and stones, just like they study the Egyptian civilization or the Sumerian civilization or so many other ancient civilizations on the basis of stones and buildings and things. But the real record of Krishna's appearance is there in the Shastras, the revealed Shastras, Bhagavad Gita, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, the Vedas, the Puranas, everything is described there. As a matter of fact, in India, when devotees first went to India in 1970 with Śrīla Prabhupāda, Śrīla Prabhupāda took them to the Kumbh Mela. Kumbh Mela is this gigantic fair of sadhus and people who go bathe at the confluence of the Yamuna, the Ganga, and the Saraswati. It's called Triveni, modern day Allahabad or Prayag. So they go there to take bath. Very special place. So when devotees first went there, there's all kinds of sadhus from all different kinds of sampradayas come there. They have also these Nagababas. The Nagababas, they don't wear clothing. They smear their bodies with ashes. It prevents them from getting cold. And basically, they are very austere. They perform sacrifices and austerities. So devotees sometimes would laugh at these people with matted hair covered with ashes. So when they related to Śrīla Prabhupada about these Nagababas, Prabhupada says, do not laugh. Some of these people are great yogis. They take their bath simultaneously every day in Dwarka, Badrinath, Jagannath Puri, and Rameswaram, the 4 dhams, Char dhams. Do not laugh. So devotees were somewhat surprised that Śrīla Prabhupada would admonish them like that and to be very careful. Anybody who knows the history of Vedic literatures, they know in India, there are still some Chiranjeev, or people that will not die for a long, long time, like Vedavyas, still live in the Himalayas. Hanuman is still living. Vibhishana, the brother of Ravana, is still living. Markandeya is still living. There are some other great personalities who are still there. They are still living. And when the next Kali Yuga comes, they will become active to again start not the Kali Yuga, the Satya Yuga. At the end of Kali Yuga, there'll be a transition period and these great personalities will come there. Just like it is said that Parashuram, who was there during the time of Lord Ramachandra, who was also there during the manifested presence of Lord Krishna. Parashuram is still living. So these great powerful personalities are still there by Krishna's arrangement. I've often told the story how in the Madhva Sampradaya of Madhvacharya, the brother of Madhvacharya is said to be still living in a place called Subramanya Parvat, that is southeast of Mangalore, south of Udupi. He said he's still living there and he will live there for 30,000 years. And he has all of Madhvacharya's writings on copper plates. And when the time comes, when Kali Yuga is so advanced, he will come out and revive that Sampradaya. Even in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, Vrindavan Das Thakur describes how even after the departure of Lord Chaitanya, that even at this time, there are personalities who are still experiencing this transcendental Leela of Lord Chaitanya. So this is not some mundane story or fiction. It is there, it can be experienced. We can hear of it. We should respect it and be very, very careful to approach this with reverence, faith, and proper hearing. Just like Śrīla Prabhupāda describes in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, when Shukadeva Goswami came down from the Himalayas to recite the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam to Maharaj Parikshit, so many great personalities came there. We can see in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 17, 18, it was like a big event. Just like sometimes there are big sporting events, big political events, very big musical events. Just like recently, Vishwakarma Prabhu was saying there was one famous singer, I think Mrs. Swift or Taylor Swift, somebody who was doing a tour of singing. And so many people, millions of people were trying to come to see her. So when Shukadeva Goswami came down from the Himalayas to recite the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam to Maharaj Yudhishthira, this was a big time event, prime time events. And all the great rishis, sadhus, and great saintly personalities from all over the universe, not just this planet, from all over the universe came down to this location near the bank of the Ganges. They wanted to hear, what is this going to be? That this king has agreed to fast for 7 days till death, and Shukadeva Goswami, the foremost personality amongst the sages, has come down. This was a very big time event. Śrīla Prabhupada describes that there was one rishi named Atri Rishi. And Prabhupada says he's still living now at the confluence of the Ganges and Alaknanda, near Devaprayag. So some people may not believe or may not accept these things, but we do know on the authority and strength of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam that these great personalities are still there. Just like we see from the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, there are descriptions of the Sapta Rishis, the original 7 sons of Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma was very powerful, the designated engineer of the universe, that in the beginning of creation, he created these rishis from his mind, very powerful mind. And they still live right now on the higher planets above Dhruvaloka. So many personalities, Narada, Asita, Devala, Atri, Maitreya, so many great personalities came down to hear Bhagavatam. Why would they want to do that? Because they knew this was the foremost authority in the universe speaking on the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is not a mundane book. It is not just a storytelling for like what some modern scholars call it mythology. No, it is fact. Just like yesterday I was studying in Kurukshetra, they have found so many places, artifacts, and even archaeological evidence that this actually took place there in this great plain of Kurukshetra. For 18 days, there was a massive war, and people came all the way from China, Russia, Greece, Iran, Afghanistan, all these countries that surround the current India. They all came to fight on behalf of one of the parties, either the Kurus or the Pandavas. But because everybody knew this was going to be a very big event. Very big event. So everybody who came there, they got the chance to see Lord Krishna. Because we know before the battle began, Krishna recited the Bhagavad Gita, the sacred Bhagavad Gita, the Song of God, to Arjuna, right in the middle of the battlefield. So all the armies, they got to see Krishna and become liberated. That is the power of the personality of God in his message. Now, what is that message? That message has been brought down by disciplic succession from the foremost representative of Shukadev Goswami, Śrīla Prabhupāda. It's interesting to note when we look at one of Prabhupada's purports in the 17th chapter, it is described that Shukadev Goswami was just like the moon amongst all the stars that came there. Because all these great rishis and great sages and sadhus, they were very powerful. They could travel from one planet to another. They came there, but Shukadev Goswami was acknowledged as being the most powerful sadhu in the universe. So he came there, and after he was seated, then the recitation of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam began. So the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam that we have now is also a description of what took place in Naimisharanya. Because at the beginning of Kali Yuga, 88,000 sages, sometimes they describe as 60,000 sages, they all assemble at Naimisharanya, which is a very, very special place in the universe, to basically assemble and pray, what are we going to do? Because the Kali Yuga is about to begin. What should we do? And Sutta Goswami came there and he says we should, because they wanted to perform a big, gigantic fire sacrifice. And Shukadev Goswami recited the entire Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So this Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is very, very auspicious. Śrīla Prabhupada translated this book. Anyone knows that Śrīla Prabhupada that night did not sleep. While we were sleeping, he was busy translating the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, consulting the commentaries of so many great acharyas, and summarizing and distilling the essence of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam to present this wonderful gem, its purports, and all of the necessary nectar that is there for devotees to hear this transcendental message. That is why we know when we were distributing books for Śrīla Prabhupada, one time Śrīla Prabhupada said, even if they keep the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam in their home, even if they do not read it, it is most auspicious. Even if they touch the book, it is most auspicious. If they read one line of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, it is most auspicious. We see in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu of Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, how he describes that one who wants to increase his stock of pious activities should give a copy of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam on a full moon day to some Brahmins or some other saintly people. There's great transcendental benefit. So Śrīla Prabhupada arranged for the distribution and dissemination of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam all over the world. Just see the power of this exalted sadhu. We see In the 9th canto of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, there is a description, Sadhavu hridayam mayam sadhunam hridayam tvaham madanyatina jananti naham tebhyo managapi. The Lord Krishna described that sadhus are in my heart, and I'm always in their hearts. I cannot live without them. They cannot live without me. That is the position of exalted devotees like Śrīla Prabhupada. Very special. Tirti kurvanti tirtani, that they can purify even the holy places of pilgrimage. Because we know from Śrīla Prabhupada's explanation that sinful people go to holy place to get rid of their sinful activities. And when great powerful personalities, powerful sadhus, and powerful Brahmins go to these places, they purify even the places of pilgrimage. Tirti kurvanti tirtani. That is there in the 1st canto of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So we cannot even imagine the power of someone like Śrīla Prabhupada, the current bona fide representative of Shukadev Goswami, how much benefit he has given to the whole world, to the whole universe. Just like a few classes ago, we were discussing how Lord Krishna comes. The original Lord Krishna comes only once in a day of Lord Brahma. That in the day of Lord Brahma is like 8 billion, so many hundreds of millions of years. And also Lord Chaitanya only comes once at that time. So this makes us appreciate the rarity and the very special position of coming in contact with a powerful persons like Śrīla Prabhupada, the bona fide current Sampradaya-Acārya and representative of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was born in 1486 AD, lived for 48 years, he departed in 1533 AD, and he traveled in South India, but he did not go to the Western countries. He did not go to America, Britain, Australia, Korea, China. No, he stayed in India. Of course, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu delegated his foremost representative, Śrīla Prabhupada, to come to the West. That's why one should never minimize the exalted position of a powerful Acharya like Śrīla Prabhupada. I heard recently a complaint. Somebody was saying in a veiled, indirect way, oh, you people are Prabhupada fanatics. Well, Prabhupada fanatics is something that's like a compliment on one hand. Why? Because it's the duty of every Vaishnava to understand the history of this great person. We know that after the departure of Lord Chaitanya, there was one great Acharya, Lochan Das Thakur, who wrote a biography of Lord Chaitanya and who predicted that there would be a great Senapati Bhakta, a great chief commander of the Vaishnavas who would come and spread this message of Lord Chaitanya. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself predicted, Prithivite Achita Jata Jata Nagaradigram, that my name ultimately will be glorified in every town, village, and farm around the world. Eventually. So who brought this message? Who brought this transcendental message of Lord Chaitanya? It's none other than His Divine Grace, Śrīla Prabhupāda. So when Śrīla Prabhupada says that I am present in my books, this is not some fanciful eulogy. It is a fact. And those who are faithful Vaishnavas, respectful Vaishnavas, serious Vaishnavas will appreciate this fact and dedicate their lives to the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and also carefully study and read these transcendental literatures. Just 2 days ago, I sent a message to many devotees of a conversation Prabhupada had in Toronto, Canada, in 1975, where one Indian gentleman was asking Śrīla Prabhupada that we want to associate with you personally. This living physicality idea. And Prabhupada's point was, If you want to understand me, if you want to associate with me, read my books. So this is a very special time, and although Śrīla Prabhupada is not physically here directly, of course he is here in his murti, in his picture, in his books, but his divine grace is always available for the serious, inquisitive student and follower. Always. It is not that we are deprived of the association of Śrīla Prabhupada because somebody did not go on a morning walk with him or did not physically meet him. Because we see that many people did go on morning walks with Prabhupada, did have his personal direct living association, but yet ended up deviating in so many ways. So we should take advantage of that Vani incarnation of Śrīla Prabhupada. Always be very careful. Śrīla Prabhupada warned us on the appearance day of his Guru Maharaj, His Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur, in 1975 in Atlanta, Georgia, USA. Śrīla Prabhupada said, it is not that he is dead and gone. That is not spiritual understanding. So there is the proper understanding and there is the improper understanding. There's the bona fide understanding and the defective understanding. When Śrīla Prabhupada said in 1969 on the 13th of January, what we have heard from the spiritual master, that is living. That is the foremost understanding. That is the correct understanding. Not this foolish idea, Prabhupada is dead and gone and now people can do whatever nonsense they want. No, that is not correct. So we should dedicate our lives and propagate this very nicely. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Yaśodā-nandana, for that brilliant explanation of these verses from the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam and a deeper insight into how we can all conduct ourselves each day in the practice of devotional service. And I wanted to refer back, Venkat Bhatta Prabhu, to text 9, the purport of one of today's verses, as it was advised by King Rishava to his sons, tapasya, or voluntary acceptance of penances for realization of the transcendence, is the only duty of the human being. So we have a lot of duties that we perform every day, but Prabhupada is specifically targeting tapasya for the sake of spiritual advancement. Tapasya, as we know, is the wealth of the renounced order. And human life is meant for discipline. And Prabhupada came to train us up how to become disciplined as human beings, not as animals. The animal has no control over their senses. They are basically focused on the animal propensities of eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. But Prabhupada brought us a system of training, how to live as a human being, and not just to work for the sake of fruitive gain, but for spiritual advancement. Such direction is taken from the bona fide spiritual master. And in our case, it's A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda. We want to refer to the Chaitanya Charitamrita right now for further directions. And this is a brief summary of how we should conduct ourselves in this very short duration of human life under his guidance. So, Madhya Lila, chapter 22, text 113. And we'll go straight to the translation. Krishna is the origin of Lord Vishnu. He should always be remembered and never forgotten at any time. All the rules and prohibitions mentioned in the Shastras should be the servants of these two principles. Purport by Śrīla Prabhupāda. This verse is a quotation from the Padma Purana. There are many regulative principles in the Shastras and directions given by the spiritual master. These regulative principles should act as servants of the basic principle. That is, one should always remember Krishna and never forget him. This is possible when one chants the Hare Krishna mantra. Therefore, one must strictly chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra 24 hours a day. One may have other duties to perform under direction of the spiritual master, but he must first abide by the spiritual master's order to chant a certain number of rounds. In our Krishna Consciousness movement, we have recommended that the neophyte chant at least 16 rounds. This chanting of 16 rounds is absolutely necessary if one wants to remember Krishna and not forget him. Of all the regulative principles, the spiritual master's order to chant at least 16 rounds is most essential. So this, for a lot of people, this is tapasya. I can't chant my rounds. One may sell books or enlist life members or render some other service, but these duties are not ordinary duties. These duties serve as an impetus for remembering Krishna. When one goes on with a Sankirtan party or sells books, he naturally remembers what he is going to sell, that he is going to sell Krishna's books. In this way, he is remembering Krishna. When one goes to enlist a life member, he talks about Krishna and thereby remembers him. Smartavya satatam Vishnor, Vismartavyo na jatuchit. The conclusion is that one must act in such a way that he will always remember Krishna and must refrain from doing things that make him forget Krishna. These two principles form the basic background of Krishna consciousness. And this, Prabhus, is the fundamental austerity that all of us have to follow, which is to every day chant without fail, minimum 16 rounds. Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, please, if you could continue.
This is a very important point. I was going to read a little bit from a Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam lecture that Prabhupada gave on the same verse in Los Angeles on September 15, 1972. Los Angeles, September 15, 1972. Prabhupada. So the Lord sometimes appears as, whenever the Lord takes the incarnation, he appears to be like ordinary human being. So in this incarnation, Nara Narayana, they undertook severe penances to teach us. So what was the purpose of such severe penance? For sense controlling. The modern civilization is to give freedom to sense gratification because they cannot control. Just like you're riding on a horse, but the horse is not under your control. Then you say, let it go to hell, never mind. This is the position. Because they cannot control the senses, they have taken this philosophy that liberating sense gratification is the ultimate goal of life. And the result is that they are going to hell. Andagobir vishatam tamishram punah punascharvita charvananam. The problem is they cannot control the senses. Therefore, their philosophical idea is that sense gratification is the ultimate goal of life. They are thinking, which will never be successful, that by advancement of material comforts, they will be happy. Therefore, the Shastra says, impossible, or very difficult, or by a kind of hope which will never be fulfilled. It was never successful in the past. It is not successful in the present. Therefore, in the future also, it will never be successful. But they have taken up this philosophy of sense gratification materially. Before we've got this propensity that we shall be able to become happy by sense gratification, therefore God comes to teach them. Just like Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, Yada yada hi dharamasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyuttanam adharamasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. As soon as people are misled in their occupational duty, I will take my incarnation. So Narayana, they are incarnation of God, but they underwent severe penances. The Narayana temple is there in Badarik Ashram in the Himalayas. People still go there to show their respects to Narayana Rishi. So God or his representative comes always to help us, to deliver us from the wrong path of sense gratification. They executed very difficult. Just like Dhruva Maharaj, a 5-year-old boy, he also executed very severe type of penances. For the first 6 months, he was only eating the dry foliage that had fallen on the ground, then water. No, altogether, he underwent penances for 6 months. For the first month, second, third, like that. So first, he used to eat the leaves of the tree, then dried leaves, then simply water, then simply air, then no eating at all. Within 6 months, he was successful to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana, face to face. So penance required. This human life is not meant for enjoyment, enjoying senses like the dogs and hogs. That is not life. We have got advanced sense consciousness. We can understand what is good, what is bad. At least that talent we've got, even though we are misguided. So we should take guidance from a perfect source of knowledge and utilize it for making our life perfect. That is wanted. Not that because I want sense gratification, so let me have complete freedom from sense gratification. That is the idea now, life. No, that is not ideal. As I have several times explained to you, that law is meant for human beings. What is law? Law means restrictions. You cannot have sense gratification unrestricted. That is law. Otherwise, what is the meaning of law? Just like when we are driving car, the law is red light, we have to stop. That is law. Because if you unrestrictedly drive your car, there will be accident. Either you die or somebody will die. So in this way, Śrīla Prabhupada very nicely explains that same verse from so many different angles. Hare Krishna.
Yes, and we have to understand that by engaging in devotional service throughout the day, organizing our time in such a way that we're focused on the directions given by our guru, then the opportunity for Maya will be extinguished. It will not take place. Because we're busy, it's like filling up a cup. If you fill up the cup with milk, then there's no chance of it becoming clouded with ink. Prabhupada uses that example, so like that. Janas Priya, in Hawaii. Are you capable of using your microphone today at this Bhagavatam discussion and reading to share your thoughts on today's verses? I don't see that. I don't see that he's capable, unfortunately. Venkat Prabhu in Bangalore, South India. Are there any questions here that we can deal with from today's chat that you could read out for us?
Yeah, it looks like there's a question by Bhakta Hari Prasad. So
Okay.
he asks, I get a bit confused sometimes in understanding this verse. When we think about Krishna all the time, how is it that we can forget him? This is the verse that you read from Chaitanya Charitamrita.
I don't. Can you explain that to me, Venkat Prabhu, what he means?
No, that verse says the rule is that we should always think of Krishna and never forget him. So isn't it like redundant kind of that if you're always thinking of Krishna, then you're anyway never forgetting him? So the question is, it's like repeating the same instruction kind of.
Well, it's self-evident. I mean, there is no confusion there. I mean, it's just an explanation of how the mind should work, because the mind is wandering constantly over so many different things. And so the idea is that we have to fill the mind up with Krishna, because we do forget Krishna. This is why we're incarcerated in this material body, both gross and subtle. We're incarcerated. It's like a prison house, Prabhu. And to get out of this prison house, you have to qualify yourself, and that qualification is complete surrender to the orders of Krishna and to the orders of the spiritual master. It is not a cheap thing. So this is the process that is given to us in these instructions of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Chaitanya. The same instructions are being repeated every day. And every day when you get up, Prabhu, like all of us, we all struggle to fix the mind, because the mind is restless, disturbed. Prabhupada was extremely dhira, sober-minded, fixed. We should be humble and know that this process is very difficult. The mind is very difficult to control, to overcome. So thinking of Krishna is thinking of the orders of the spiritual master. And in this particular section of Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is the Madhya Lila section, chapter 22. And I think if you get a chance to look it over, Prabhu, it's very, very informative in terms of all the processes of devotional service, which help us to fix ourselves on the transcendental platform of devotional service under the direction of Śrīla Prabhupāda and Rupa Goswami. Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, could you further elaborate for us?
I just posted a letter from Śrīla Prabhupada that he wrote to Madhvisa in 1972. When this issue came up, various devotees were asking Prabhupada the question, how did we get here? How did we forget Krishna, and what is our position? I'm going to read a few excerpts from that. Prabhupada explains, we never had any occasion when we were separated from Krishna. Just like one man is dreaming and he forgets himself. In dream, he creates himself in different forms. Now I am the king, discussing like that. This creation hold on. This creation of himself is as seer and subject matter of scene, two things. But as soon as the dream is over, the scene disappears, but the seer remains. Now he is in his original position. Our separation from Krishna is like that. We dream this body in so many relationships with other things. First, the attachment comes to enjoy sense gratification. Even with Krishna's desire for sense gratification is there. There is a dormant attitude for forgetting Krishna and creating an atmosphere for enjoying independently. Just like at the edge of the beach, sometimes the water covers. Sometimes there is dry sand, some coming and going. Our position is like that. Sometimes covered, sometimes free. Just like at the edge of the tide. As soon as we forget, immediately the illusion is there. Just like as soon as we sleep, dream is there. We cannot say, therefore, that we are not with Krishna. As soon as we try to become Lord, immediately we are covered by Maya. Formerly we were with Krishna in his lila or sport, but this covering of Maya may be a very, very, very long duration. Therefore, many creations are coming and going. Due to this long period of time, it is sometimes said that we are ever conditioned. But his long duration of life becomes very insignificant when one actually comes to Krishna consciousness. Just like in a dream, we are thinking very long time. But as soon as we awaken, we look at our watch and see it has been a moment only. Just like with Krishna's friends, they were kept asleep for 1 year by Brahma. When they woke up and Krishna returned before them, they considered that only a moment had passed. So this dreaming condition is called non-liberated life. And this is just like a dream. Although in this material calculation, it is a long, long period. As soon as we come to Krishna consciousness, then this period is considered as a second. For example, Jai and Vijay, they had their lila with Krishna, but they had to come down for their little mistake. They were given mukti, emerging into the Brahma Sayuja, after being killed 3 times as demons. This Brahma Sayuja mukti is non-permanent. Every living entity wants pleasure, but Brahma Sayuja is minus pleasure. There is eternal existence only. So when they do not find transcendental bliss, they fall down to make a compromise with material bliss. Just like Vivekananda founded so many schools and hospitals. So even Lord Brahma is still material and wants to lord it over. He may come down to become a germ, but then he may rise up to Krishna consciousness and go back home, back to Godhead. This is the position. So when I say, yes, there is eternal lila with Krishna, that means on the evidence of Jai Vijay, unless one develops full devotional service to Krishna, he goes up only up to Brahma Sayuja but falls down. But after millions and millions of years of keeping oneself away from the lila of the Lord, when one comes to Krishna consciousness, this period becomes insignificant, just like dreaming. Because he falls down from Brahma Sayuja, he thinks that may be his origin. But he does not remember that before that even he was with Krishna. So the conclusion is that whatever may be our past, let us come to Krishna consciousness and immediately join Krishna. Just like with a diseased man, it is a waste of time to try to find out how he has become diseased. Better to spend time curing the disease. On the top of the tree, there is a nice tall fruit. A crow went there and the fruit fell down. Some pundits, big learned scholars saw this and discussed. The fruit fell due to the crow agitating the limb. No, the fruit fell simultaneously with the crow landing and frightened the crow, so he flew away. No, the fruit was ripe, and the weight of the crow landing broke it from the branch, and so on and so on. What is the use of such discussions? So whether you were in the Brahma Sayuja or with Krishna and his Leela, at the moment you are in neither. So the best policy is to develop your Krishna consciousness and go there. Never mind what is your origin. Brahma Sayuja and Krishna Leela, both may be possible. But when you are coming down from Brahma Sayuja or when you are coming down from Krishna Leela, that remains a mystery. But at the present moment, we are in Maya's clutches. So at the present, our only hope is to become Krishna conscious and go back to home, back to Godhead. The real position is servant of Krishna. And servant of Krishna mean in Krishna Leela. Directly or indirectly, always we are serving Krishna's Leela. Even in dream, just like we cannot go out of the sun when it is daytime. So where is the chance of going out of Krishna Leela? The cloud may be there, but it may become very gray and dim. But still the sunlight is there everywhere during the daytime. Because I am part and parcel of Krishna, I'm always connected. My finger, even though it may be diseased, remains part and parcel of my body. Therefore, we try to treat it, cure it, because it is part and parcel. So Krishna comes himself when we forget him, or he sends his representative. Interesting, His Divine Grace is hinting indirectly at his position. Awakening or dreaming, I am the same man. As soon as I awaken and see myself, I see Krishna. Cause and effect are both Krishna. Just like cotton becomes thread and thread becomes cloth, still the original cause is cotton. Therefore, everything is Krishna in the ultimate sense. When we cannot contact Krishna personally, we contact his energies. So there is no chance to be outside of Krishna's Leela, but differences we see under different conditions. Just like in the pool of water and in the mirror, the same me is reflecting, but in different reflections. One is shimmering, unsteady, one is clear and fixed. Except for being in Krishna consciousness, we cannot see our actual position rightly. Therefore, the learned man sees all living entities as the same parts and parcels of Krishna. Material existence is impersonal because my real personality is covered. But we should think that because I am now covered by this clay, I am diseased. So we should think that because I must get to business to get myself uncovered, not wonder how I got this way. Now the fruit is there, take it and enjoy. That is your first business. God is not bound by cause. He can change. He is the cause of all causes. Now don't waste your time with this kakakaliya nyaya, crows and tall fruit logic. Hare Krishna.
Excellent. More profound information about the position of the living entity, all of us in this material world, how we're entrapped by the circumstances of our karma and our human existence. And the solution is the mercy of the spiritual master, Prabhupada, that he is enlightening us with this constant explanation of our position in this world as the conditioned soul. And is there any other questions of Venkat Prabhu or comments from our gallery of devotees here this morning?
Puranjan Prabhu has a comment here. I don't know if he wants to speak.
That would be fair if his microphone is on. Puranjana Prabhu, is your mic on?
Yeah, Haribo, can you hear me?
We do.
Yes.
Yeah, so when we were in Mayapur, some of the godbrothers of Prabhupada were complaining about his Back to Godhead title, the title of his magazine, Back to Godhead. They said, we were never with Godhead, and Prabhupada is preaching the wrong idea. So some devotees came to Prabhupada and said, your godbrothers are complaining about back to Godhead. And he said, my godbrothers don't know we were once with Krishna because they are tinged with Mayavada. So the idea that we were not with Krishna is the same as the Mayavadas. But Sridhar Maharaj says that we came from the Brahman, Brahmajyoti. He said we originate there. So many of those godbrothers were not just minor league Mayavada, they were preaching full on that we originate in Brahman, which Prabhupada says that is not our origin. We originate as persons because Krishna is a person, we are also persons. So it's important to know how we originated with Krishna originally, because otherwise, if you go back to home and your home was Brahmajyoti, that doesn't make any sense.
Excellent. Yaśodā, Prabhu, further comment.
Well, these discussions have been going on for a long time, but we see that Śrīla Prabhupada wrote in 1972 to Madhvisa, what is the use of these discussions? Just worry about how to get out. So this is the point. This is Prabhupada's whole program, how to give people a chance to practice Krishna consciousness and get out of this situation. Just like in the Chaitanya Charitamrita and the Madhya Lila, there's a place that if one, Prabhupada describes in one purport, if one misses Ekadasi, that even though one is promoted to Vaikuntha, he still has to fall back to the material world. It's there in one purport. So it is not a fact that one does not come down from there. But Prabhupada's point, when we read that long letter from Prabhupada to Madhvisa, his whole point was don't bother where you came from, how long you've been here, how long you've been there. Just worry how to get out. Just like if a person falls in the ocean, there's no use to speculate, how did I get here? Did I slip? Did I fall? Did somebody push me? That's not going to do anything. Best thing to do is endeavor, grab the rope and try to get out. That was Prabhupada's solution.
With that, we can come to the end of today's discussions on the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, and we want to thank everyone who participated today in this program. And we encourage you to continue on and invite your friends and interested people who want to cultivate Krishna consciousness in the association of devotees. The idea is we want to expand this group and its membership to give other people an opportunity to take up this process in association with Prabhupada in his Vani incarnation. And please remind your friends that we do have a YouTube channel with 135. Vinkat, but how many classes are recorded now at our YouTube channel? Approximately.
Yeah, I think it's around that.
Okay, good. So it's a history. Yes, Yaśodā Prabhu, please.
I just want to remind all devotees that we're going to try to publish on our website a Vyasa Puja offerings to Śrīla Prabhupāda. So if anybody would like to submit a Vyasa Puja offering to His Divine Grace, please send it to Venkat and ourselves here, Vishwakarma and myself, and we will try to publish. We will publish this definitely on the website and hopefully try to get a little souvenir together. So that will be coming up. I don't know exactly when, but that's going to come up soon. I believe it's sometimes in August. I think it's in September 8th. September 8th. So we still have plenty of time to make propaganda and solicit very nice offerings. So we encourage everybody, whether you just want to offer obeisances to Prabhupada in a simple way, or write 2 or 3 pages. Feel free to pour your heart out, glorify His divine grace and His wonderful contributions to human society. I wanted, before we leave, on the Bhashya Mataji, do you have your Bhashya ready for us today? What do you say? No Bhashya.
I want to thank Radha Madhava and his group. We have a group in Toronto that are attending the class on YouTube. So the classes are streamed on YouTube, and they're also streamed on Facebook in our Prabhupada Disciples group. And then you can also attend on the Zoom, direct Zoom link. And if you want to get a link sent to a friend, then please send that contact information to Vinkat Prabhu in South India, and he will add these people into our scheduled reminders so that they can be a part of this program. It's difficult for a lot of people to be consistent in attending, but nonetheless, if we keep working at it, eventually it becomes a habit. And these habits are very valuable in developing your Krishna consciousness. These habits are the habits of people that are spiritually successful. So thank you again. We'll see everyone on Wednesday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the reading and discussion of Chaitanya Charitamrita. And have a wonderful week, everyone. All glories to Śrīla Prabhupāda. Please chant along with the Kirtan from 1966.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivāsadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivāsadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivāsadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Let us offer
Rubhyascha kripa sindubhya eva cha
cha
patitanam pavanebhyo
yo
vaishnavibhyo namo namaha.